is the main satellite. The main satellite. You motherfuckers hear that? The main satellite. What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Not a whole goddamn lot, man. What are we here today to riff on a little bit, to discuss a little bit?
That new God of War, man.
Goddamn, the new God of War game.
The new God of War.
Mm-hmm. The new capital N-E-W, like the new Temptations. The new, you know, that's some horse shit when you see that in there. The new Coke, the new Temptations.
You
Today
know it's gonna be some bullshit.
It's gonna be some bullshit. What is it, about 2-3 years old now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But first, let's go back and talk about God of War 1, 2, and 3 and how amazing those games were. Mm-hmm. When you first played God of War, what did you feel? What did you think about it?
I felt like I felt the way I felt back in junior high school, mm-hmm. and walking into the library and wanting books that were not on the regular shelf. So you had to go into the reference section to get your hands on those. Mm-hmm. And that was where all of the lewd, crude, and genuine was in terms of world history. And in particular, I loved Greek fucking mythology. I loved it. And I just enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved it. And that's what playing this game for the first time felt like. But you also had a soundtrack just from the depths of hell. The soundtrack is just beautiful. Mm-hmm. You had these graphics that were unparalleled at the time. You had the protagonist or antagonist, if you're familiar with God of War, depending on how you view it, was unlike any character I'd ever played as in a game before. Blown away is how I felt. All my wickedest, wildest dreams came true playing that game. Thanks to you, brother. As you know, you exposed me to it. 2005. Do you remember what your very first reaction to it was? How did you come across God of War? How did it come into your life?
You know, I used to get those video game magazines, mm-hmm. and I would see articles about it, but it wasn't on my radar, mm-hmm. Until I went into GameStop and they had this cutout of the God of War of Kratos. Mm. And I was like, dang, that looks badass. It looked scary and badass at the same time. It put me in the mind of Pinhead from Hellraiser. Mm. So the guy working in the store came over and he started telling me about the game. And he was just basically saying like, it's the shit. So I bought it, took it to the dorm room, and the rest is history. I was blown away from the start. You know, when you're on the menu screen and you see Kratos's
his silhouette,
oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And the flames behind him, and you hit. And you start.
Got the goddamn music going on in the background. Yeah.
Man, you hit start, and first thing you hear is that chorus mm-hmm. in the background. Say, oh, whatever, and he's mm-hmm. like,
the gods of Olympus have abandoned me. Now there is no hope.
And Kratos cast himself from the highest mountain in all of Greece.
Man, you're sucked in from the very start. And it's like you're sitting down for story time. Mm-hmm. Feels like that. You know you're in for a hell of a ride. And once you start playing the game,
if you all expectations are exceeded. Every one of them.
Every one of them. If you haven't played it, I recommend that you experience it, especially if you haven't played it, but you played this new God of War and you think that new God of War is the shit.
New God of War, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You ain't really experienced God of War, because that's not God of War in our eyes. That's something totally fucking different. TC Carson, man, what did you think about his performance as a voice actor?
The man has a gift. Mm-hmm. He's very gifted. I remember, and for those of a certain age, in our age group, a couple of years older, may remember Living Single. Mm-hmm. He was Kyle Barker, Living Single, Smooth, the Beach Boys, and the baritone, you know. He had something then.
Mm-hmm.
He could sing. He could riff. His voice was something amazing and something special. So when I first heard Kratos, I actually didn't know. I had no idea that it was him. But it didn't take long, being a big fan of Living Single. I'm like, hold on, is this fucking TC Carson? I get online and look it up, and I think maybe you had mentioned it to me beforehand, but I've forgotten about it. This can't be fucking TC Carson. Black man, baritone, smooth, fucking just extraordinary. And lo and behold, it was TC motherfucking Carson. He was doing this fucking thing. The thing that's really cool, you asked me what I thought about it. I thought about Kyle Barker, which is, to me, his most pronounced part. I know he'd done Broadway and things like that before, but I wasn't thinking about Kyle Barker 2 minutes into the game. I'm talking about everything from his monologue, the beginning monologue, to the grunts and the words that he'd use during gameplay. Now he was Kratos.
Yep.
He was Kratos. He was the god of war. I thought it was extraordinary. His performance is extraordinary. And he sank into the part. And like you were saying earlier, not only did he sink into the part, but he dragged us into it. The score for a thing is great. If it's great, it'll pull you in. The game design, the graphics are fantastic too. If they're great, they may well pull you in as well. The premise may pull you in, but there's something about extraordinary or exceptional voice actors and actresses.
Yeah.
If they don't get that shit right, you're not going to be pulled in.
Nah.
Them choosing him was David Jaffe, I believe his name is, the creator and director, was the greatest decision he made in terms of the game. And all those things combined with this man's voice melted on top, just melted.
Damn sure did.
It melted on top.
He brought the character to life. He made it believable.
He did.
You were invested in this character. Once we learned that it was TC Carson who was doing the voice, you go back and look at Kratos and you're like, okay, I see it now. Like physically, you see.
Yeah, there he is. He's modeled.
TC Carson.
That's right. Yeah.
The nose, the cheekbones, the brow,
the lips.
Yep.
All of that.
All that. That's TC Carson. Modeled after TC Carson.
Yeah, the character is quite obviously modeled physically on TC Carson. And that's something to keep in mind, given what we're talking about.
That segues into this new God of War, or this new Kratos, this new bullshit, basically. Yeah. That was the first thing that struck me, was Kratos's appearance. It wasn't the same. It was obviously different.
Markedly just altered.
Yes.
It wasn't our character.
Damn sure wasn't. Kratos in God of War 1, 2, and 3 and the other games. He was a black man.
Yes, he was.
Or a brown man. He wasn't white. But in this new God of War, he's a white man.
And I should say, not just brown or black or brown, but very noticeably so. In terms of his facial aesthetic, his voice, the way he was noticeably a black or brown fucking character.
Yeah.
So that's important to think on if you're going to move from the first set of God of War games and then maybe move into this new God of War game. You know, he was a brown or black man. The new God of War, the new Kratos, is not a black man. He is a white man. Tell me the first thing you noticed about his appearance when you saw him.
The beard. And after noticing the beard, you start looking at other details of his face. His nose is more slender. The cheekbones aren't there anymore. The lips aren't there anymore. And his eyes were lightened. His eyes were brown before, but now they're green.
Greenish.
Yeah. And also, you could see his skin color underneath the ashes. It's a white man underneath those ashes. You can see that.
And not just a white man, but Nordic, like very, very much so Nordic. It's obvious that he was designed to look that way. Now, the creators or the directors or David Jaffe, I think he passed it off to some other person to lead it, to head the project up, would probably say, well, we wanted to go in a different direction. But that's the protagonist of the story. So different direction be damned, that's still your protagonist. Why have all these aesthetic changes been made? And they're very marked changes. He is a white man. If you haven't played the games before, he's called the Ghost of Sparta. And he's called that for a specific set of reasons, which I won't go into. But there are things, there's sort of an ash, I'll say, that's laid over his skin. But the first set of games, the first trio, and then the other games, Chains of Olympus and everything in that, you had a chance to see him in cutscenes, and he was black. He had dark skin. He was a black man.
Yeah.
Not only that, but he wasn't the only black character in the game, black or brown, you know. So even with the ash laid over him, it was still very obvious, as we've been speaking about, aesthetics. He is a black man. This game, they did a complete turnaround. As you said, through the ash, you can see the color of this Nordic skin, along with these Nordic eyes, this Nordic beard. The whole facial structure had been altered, very obviously so, and that was intentional.
Yeah, very intentional and disheartening for us and for a lot of other people. So there's nothing wrong with having a main character of a game be a white man or a white woman or whatever, but it's just
that's all we've ever seen.
That's all we see.
That's all we've ever seen.
When we got the chance to experience someone as cool and as badass as Kratos, it gave you a sense of pride. It made it a little bit more exciting. But even if he started out as a white man, you know, if he looked like he looks now, the game still would have been great. But the fact that they gave us this brown character and snatched it away from us, it just felt wrong.
It is very disheartening and it's very upsetting. I mean, those games took off. That game took the fuck off. And for the first time that I can recall ever in any action adventure game, the character's color was noticed. When everything you see is white, magazines, movies, television shows, comic books, novels, commercials, when everything you see is white, then color is not noticed because that's the default. When you see something that is not the default and a character looks like you, and not only is the character, as you said, brother, not only is the character badass, but the character is also three-dimensional. The character is deeply fucking flawed. You can project yourself onto this character with skin like ours. The game still sold like gangbusters. It was that good, that great. So white patrons or people who bought the game weren't put off by the character's color, but it meant something to us. No more, any more than we were put off by Simon Belmont's color or Mario's color, any of those things. A good game is a good game. A great game is a great game, and these games are fucking great. At least the first ones before this, I'll call it transition, you know?
Yeah.
They weren't put off. Those games sold like hotcakes.
So what was the motivation for changing that? Like, why did you feel like you needed to change his physical appearance in that way? They had a new guy voicing Kratos, and it's another black man. What's his name? Christopher Judge from Stargate. He voiced the new Kratos, and he's a black man. But Kratos' physical appearance does not resemble Christopher Judge's appearance at all. Tell them about how TC Carson learned of the new God of War game.
From what I've seen, he received a call from, I believe it was an associate or a friend who said to him, "Oh, congrats on this. You're moving into the future with Kratos. It's on a new system. It's a new generation. You're moving into the future. You're doing awesome." And he was unaware of a new God of War game, from what I understand. Later, if I'm not much mistaken, he spoke with either the creator or the person who was heading the project up, who said to him in so many words, we decided to take it in a new direction. Yeah. So he didn't know that he had been dropped as Kratos. Like dropped like a sack of potatoes, like a pair of flat titties, you know. He was dropped. He didn't know it. But he wished the new guy well, Christopher Judge well. From what I understand, from what I've seen him say with his own mouth, his own words, that was hurtful to him.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't it be?
Right.
They go with another black guy, which is good, another black man, but the character is obviously white.
Mm-hmm.
And also another thing too, I just thought of, Greek mythology included characters of all races.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly white, but there were a lot of us in there, and brown and black people in. Not only did they cast another black man, but had him portray an obviously physically, aesthetically white character, but they moved the mythology, they moved the setting for the games into a Nordic setting.
Yeah.
Which means, well, we know what it means.
Yeah. Them moving him into a Nordic setting, that's okay. That would have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
But why change his appearance? Like, it's the same guy. Like, why? That's like us moving to Asia, Greenland
or Asia or someplace. Yeah.
And our physical appearance changes because we moved over there. That doesn't happen. I wish they hadn't done that.
The millions of dollars they were putting into this game's design of the game, the score, the look, the graphics. One thing I can say, one thing you and I both know, this was very, very, very intentional. And they worked on it for a very long time. I'm sure for years. So the entire time working with a black man who was voicing the character, they had a chance to turn back. But it was an active decision made over and over again not to turn back. Oh, we're gonna stay the course. This is what it is we want to do.
Shit, they even used Christopher Judge in motion capture, but they didn't use any of his physical characteristics.
Oh, wow.
A new character was introduced, and it's Kratos' son. What do you think about his son?
It's bad enough that the character was, I mean, this is a popular word now, but whitewashed. But even though you can see his skin color through the ashes, you could pretend if you were a diehard, follower fan like you and I had been for years up to that point. But just in case you doubt that this is a white man beneath these ashes, the son is lily white.
Yeah.
I'm talking about aesthetically. I'm talking about everything aesthetically, period. Everything from the shape of his face to his lips, his eyes, his hair, and his skin is about as pasty as it can get, as they could make it, and have him still be a white character. So just in case you were thinking, I'll pretend that it's still my Kratos beneath the ashes, even though the face is completely different, even though the voice is completely different, even though it's obviously a white man, I can pretend. They tried out this kid, and the kid is the direct descendant. He is the son of the main character, and he's about as white as he can be.
Biologically, his
son.
But they didn't want anyone to get it twisted. They didn't want you to mistake Kratos for being black or brown at all. Like, this is Kratos. Kratos is a white man now. They didn't want anybody to get that twisted.
They didn't even want the kid to be off color or to appear mixed of mixed heritage. He had to come out with the straight hair, reddish, I believe.
Yeah.
Which black people can have, black and brown, you know what I'm saying, but reddish hair, lighter eyes, the pastiest of motherfucking skin. Just enough on this side of human that you knew he was a Caucasian, a product of a union, sexual tryst, or union between two white people. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
and it's also extremely obvious. If they wanted to toe the line, or they wanted to, what's the word I'm looking for? They wanted to straddle the line. They could have had the character recast, the voice rather, recast, had the character still be black aesthetically, but had Kratos get together with a Nordic woman, since they wanted to, since that was the setting of the new game. So the character could have been, it could have appeased. Well, we know what they give them. They didn't give a fuck about appeasing.
Nah.
But if they had been smart, they could have kept audiences of all sorts, shapes, sizes, colors. They could have had this black or brown character mate with a Nordic woman and have the kid come out to be Cafe Leia, whatever the fuck you might want to call it.
Yeah.
But they couldn't even do that.
Nah, they couldn't even do that.
How did that hit you when you saw him and all the previews and promos that were out before the game was out? How did that hit you, man, when you saw that?
It was a punch to the gut. So many times with entertainment, you mentioned previously, so many times with entertainment, we have to, I'm trying to find the right word. I don't want to say endure, because it's not torturous or anything like that. We have to tolerate a white main character, or white characters in the whole cast of characters in a movie, characters in a video game. And we have to enjoy it, we have to try to purposely forget that it's all white people, so we can enjoy it. Them bringing Kratos' son out as a white kid, it was just a punch to the gut, because it's like they're telling you, don't get this twisted. Kratos is not a brown or black man.
He's white.
It's more the same. That's what I felt that they were telling us. We just have to tolerate it.
Or we read novels with white main characters, watch movies with white main characters, television shows with white main characters, comic books. That's a big one. And I was playing video games with white main characters. And the word you used earlier, I believe that is an accurate word: endure. You can enjoy something, but feel the need to endure it at the same time, simultaneously. Ask any sadomasochist; they'll tell you. I wouldn't know anything about that. But we've had to endure it, because for so long that's been the only entertainment that has been out there in the world. And we, just like any other group of human beings on earth, we're human. We crave entertainment as well. So we have no choice, being in America, having grown up the way we grew up, and having been presented with these bits of entertainment, television, movies, video games, comic books, novels, whatever. We had no choice but to accept it. We had to watch or view or listen to something, read something. So we did have to endure.
Yeah.
And somehow be able to project ourselves onto these characters who look nothing like us. It felt refreshing to see a character who was, as you said earlier, badass, three-dimensional, flawed, incredibly flawed, but worthy of redemption and observance and respect and understanding, who looked like us. Not just a skin tone, but nose, lips, everything, you know. Well, for those of us who have lips, I don't have them. My brother got them. I ain't got them. Fuck that. Mommy said I had lips like a goddamn white man. But it was incredibly empowering to see that.
Yeah.
And this went on for years, until the people at Santa Monica Studios, whatever it's called, decided, let's go a different direction with this. So it was extremely disheartening. But going back to what you were saying a moment ago, just in case you think it's anything but what you see, don't think that, because here is a lily white boy.
They motion captured the boy actor. His physical appearance is a spitting image of the actual actor. So the boy is in the video game, but Christopher Judge ain't in the video game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's incredibly fucked up. He is indeed lifted from real life and modeled in the game.
Yeah.
Which means, if you didn't think, once again now, if you didn't think that it wasn't, if you thought that it was unintentional, Kratos looking the way he looked, it just happened to happen that way, you know, of course we know better than that. Again, look at the character model. Look at who the character model was based on. He is the even now, 8 years later, he still looks like this character. If you thought that it was something that was unintentional, it just happened that way. Look at Christopher. It was intentional. And you know what I thought about that? I thought about if he ever mentioned that to the people, the producers, the directors, the person who was heading this up. I wonder if he ever mentioned it to anyone.
I wonder too.
I'm sure it didn't make him feel good.
Nah. He's the main motherfucking character, and nothing about his physical appearance is in the game. But this boy, who's the side character,
a new character.
Yeah, a new character. He is in the game.
And he is immortalized in the game as himself at that age. You'll be able to look back and it'll be a snapshot of his life. I don't know how old Christopher is, but I know he's a grown motherfucking man with balls that probably sweep the floor behind him. So I know he is of an age with us. So imagine spending the entirety of your childhood and your life up to that point, having no choice to project yourself onto characters that were, although they were likable, although they were heroes, your He-Mans, your She-Rods, your Supermans and Batmans and all of that. They're fantastic characters when they're written well, but they are nevertheless white. So imagine getting up to that point in your life, having had to project yourself onto these white characters, to see something of yourself and to be inspired and to aspire to greater. But these are white characters, right? You become an actor. You become a damn good actor, and then you are tapped to portray this previously black or brown character in a new game, only to have them show you the character model, and it'd be a white man. You might have felt up to that point. Finally, TC's not it anymore. He gave him his blessings. He's got my blessings, right? I'm gonna bring something to the part. I'm a black man. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to continue to represent for our people. I'm going to show little black boys and girls and grown men and women, you know what I'm saying? Fat, skinny, conventionally attractive, conventionally unattractive. I'm going to show them that we can do this, only to be shown the character models, and it's a motherfucking white man. Now, we got nothing against white people. We really are not to say this. And we don't have to say it.
Right.
But when did we get our continual piece of the fucking pie?
Right.
I feel that somebody felt like TC Carson has too much of a hold on this game. And I doubt that it was a case of him being difficult to work with.
Yeah.
His aesthetic. Yeah, his aesthetic as being a black man has too much of a fucking hold on the game. It's too influential. Let's try something different. So imagine getting that far into life and you are doing what you want to do for a living, man. You grow up your life, you're a man, you're a young man, you're playing video games. You're thinking, what if that were me? You project yourself onto the character. You're thinking I would love to voice that character, X, Y, and Z, and then you're tapped to portray the character, and you'll be goddamn if they have whitewashed the fuck out of the character. Where is that inspiration that you had? Imagine, wouldn't you feel a sinking feeling in the pit of your fucking stomach? Wouldn't you feel that? Wouldn't you be disappointed? Wouldn't your fucking feelings be hurt?
Yeah, I would be hurt. A white man or white people created this game. There are black and brown people who have the talent to make video games like that, who have the imagination and the skill to create stuff like this, and the nerve. But they may not have the opportunities to do it. You know, they may not be given the opportunity to make their vision come to life. We have people in the black and brown community who have the means to give these creative people an avenue so they can create characters and stories that we can relate to, that we can project ourselves into. But a lot of our people who have the means to the funds to get people to do that kind of stuff, they're into stuff like making their own vodka or making their own clothing line or what's some other shit they be fucking doing, man?
Alcohol, clothing lines, shoes, certain kinds of shoes that have their names on them and things of that nature. Makeup, shoes, water, beverages, all kinds of shit. They'll even have their likenesses inserted into video games or into comic books, but just for their sake, though, not for the whole of the collective, our people. Where are they?
Yeah.
Because we have the brilliance, we have the nerve, we have the motherfucking verve, we've got the imagination, we got the skill. You know what I'm saying? We have the brilliance to do this correctly. But unfortunately, we don't have the capital behind us. But there are specific Black people in America and beyond, but particularly in America, who have the capital to front that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But they put their money into, there's a specific actor who I won't mention by name, and I'm sure you've heard of him, he was a massive star in the 90s. And he ended up becoming the main star of a very popular Black 90s sitcom. I mean, he had dolls, TV shows, cartoons, with his likeness. You know what I'm talking about. He is now peddling his own version of weed, marijuana.
Yeah.
But it's named after the character he portrayed.
Hold on, man.
So, not that he is this particular star who we love. We all love. He was a part of all of our families, you know. Not that he's a billionaire, but he's got considerable influence in the Black community. Considerable goodwill from a character he played 25 years ago, 30 years ago, however long ago it was. Now, I'm not going to say that I know that this man doesn't put his money into more socially equitable causes, particularly socially when it comes to us. Right. I don't know what he does, but I know that instead of putting that money in his face and his likeness and that character's name, instead of attaching that to weed, he could have attached that to something that would help us project ourselves more into the world of entertainment and in decent, likable, very important ways. Imagine if he put his face on the cover or support it. Let's say he put the capital behind somebody, a couple of folks who wanted to start a comic book company. Yeah. Or a publishing label, true literary, although comics are literary, or comics, regular literature, a movie studio, production studio, video games. We have a bad habit of not doing that. And I'm not saying that this particular actor, neither one of us, is saying that he doesn't do, because I'm sure he does things that he doesn't tell anybody about. But that's just an example.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We need more of it. We need more of it. Even if he's doing it behind the scenes, we need more of that. With all people in those positions to provide capital like that. We need a whole lot more of that to make an impact, so we can start seeing ourselves regularly on these screens. And
we have control of the narrative.
Right.
Well, I bet that could be a whole fucking episode, man. Right there.
It will be. It will be in the future. Like stay tuned stay tuned. It'll be a whole nother episode. Yeah.
Stay tuned and stay stanking. Go ahead.
So aside from Kratos himself, his physical appearance and everything, let's talk about the gameplay.
The new gameplay. So I should say beforehand that the old gameplay in God of War 1, 2, 3, and then even the Game Gear, when they had, it might have been on Game Gear or whatever those, the little portable things.
Oh, the PSP.
You know, Game Gear. Now I'm taking it back. I'm telling my age in case you can't already see it. Goddamn Game Gear. But even on the portable consoles, the gameplay itself in our God of War games, our God of War situation was fluid. It was easy to learn, but it wasn't too easy. It was challenging.
Yeah.
You felt like you'd accomplished something when you played the game. It was nice and it was fluid. It was flowing, and you just felt like you were in there.
The combat system, it was something different, something that we hadn't really experienced before.
Also, the gameplay itself was as much a part of the character as the character's voice.
Yeah.
As how the character aesthetics. It portrayed what this character had on the inside. And there it was, splashed like thrown all over the fucking screen. You're playing this game. And the Blades of Chaos, which are some of the weapons, the main weapons that Kratos uses, felt like an extension of your body when you were playing the game. And also it was, the perspective was quite different.
The camera, it was panned out so you can see what was going on in a battle area. You can see multiple enemies on the screen at the same time. This new game, it's over the shoulder. You can see multiple enemies, but it's more like it gives you a feel of a shooter.
Fucking shoot 'em up. Yeah.
And we've seen that before.
And not a very good one.
Yeah.
Not a very good shoot 'em up either, you know. Yeah.
Not at all. You don't get that sense of freedom when you're fighting. It's not like a beautiful dance anymore. It's not fluid.
It's not a ballet anymore.
Yeah, it's not fluid at all. It's herky jerky.
Stifled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? You said you felt confined.
I felt confined. I felt like playing that game, which I've only played a handful of times, and no, I'm not going to give it another chance.
Hell no.
You know, for me. But I felt confined. I felt claustrophobic. I felt like I was in a fucking straitjacket playing this game.
Kratos can't even jump in this new game.
The character can't jump.
He has all these abilities, strength and agility and all this stuff that you saw in the previous games. You get to this game and he can't do none of that shit.
But you can't actually do any of it. You can't fucking do any of it. So the game will take over for you in certain areas. That's not what I would buy a game for. It's not what we buy these games for. We buy them to experience them, to be challenged by them, and to, you know, get the whole hog sort of experience situation. You know, to me, it feels, the best word I can think of, Mark, is inauthentic. It just, particularly when measured against the previous games.
They were definitely trying to capitalize on the first-person shooter type stuff, the popularity of shooter games, because even with the attack buttons aren't on the face of the controller. They're on the sides, on the triggers. It's ridiculous.
Playing the game feels like, not only does it put you in the mind of a shoot 'em up, but it feels like a shoot 'em up. When the character's firing off weapons and things of that nature, it feels like bang, 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 bang. Let's talk about the music in the previous God of War games, the score. Now, we touched on it, but we didn't talk about it. This word may be overused in this day and age, but the best word to use for the scores for the first, second, and third game especially is epic.
Yeah.
You feel like you are diving into this fucking an Odyssey-esque sort of adventure. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
The music reflects that. Oh my God, it's operatic. It's fucking awesome. It's just,
yeah, we've downloaded the soundtracks to those games. We listen to them today.
To this day, I have it on my fucking phone. All of the soundtrack. Yeah.
We remember those tracks. With this new game, I don't remember if you played a track from that game right now. We wouldn't know
where the fuck it came from.
No, yeah. It's not memorable at all.
It's not, you know. We first played those games, the first game, God of War, in 2005. Here we are, X number of years later, because I'm terrible at math, and we still recall it from the very first game. We have bits of the soundtrack from this game on our laptops, on our phones, on our televisions. That's extraordinary. That's real work put into the game.
And most importantly, in here.
And also in here as well, because we experienced the game at a certain time in our lives. So we attach the music, the soundtrack, not only to the game itself, but we attach it to significant events that were occurring in our lives at that time. To this day, I've only heard maybe 2 other video games that make me feel that way.
Yeah.
You know what the first one is?
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country. Rare. Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, 3, you know, whatever. But 1 and 2. And then of course, Soul Calibur. That's that kind of shit. You know. But the new game, as you have said, my brother, I could hear it playing in a grocery store on the system and not know where the fuck it came from. But I know it would sound mediocre.
Putting aside that they replaced Kratos with the white man. the gameplay is just horrible. I had the game. I bought it. I think the first day it came out. I said I wasn't going to buy it, but then I started, reminiscing on how much fun I had
The
playing.
nostalgia got you, brother.
Yeah,
It got us
me.
both. Oh yeah.
It got me. And they were banking on that too. They were banking on that. They were definitely banking on that. I just felt icky all over playing it because it just didn't feel right. It was a bad game. I didn't enjoy the experience at all. Yeah. I didn't enjoy the combat. I didn't enjoy the music. I didn't like the characters. Kratos himself, I didn't really like him. Even setting aside, that he's a white man now, they might as well have just made this game and called it something different. This is a totally different game. They just slapped the name God of War onto it and put a red tattoo on the main character's face and called it God of War.
And we're counting on it's not God of War. And they were counting on people like us, fans like us, long-time fans, to fall into that nostalgia, the nostalgia trap, because it can be a trap depending on what the follow-up product is for video games, novels, movies, TV shows, whatever. And normally it's very enjoyable. Normally it is, but this was not an enjoyable game. To me, it's as if they took everything about the previous games that was enjoyable and fantastic and scrapped it, threw it out, being aware that it sold units, millions of units. And so let's do something that sucks all the way around. And that's what they did.
Yeah. And slap the title God of War onto it.
Yeah. I would ask one more question. Do you know when the new God of War 2 is coming out?
Nah, no idea. I don't really care because I know it's going to be garbage.
Yeah, it's going to be horrible. The fucked up thing about it, I think one of the most fucked up things about it, outside of our people getting the shaft once again, and just people in general, because if it fucks with us, inevitably we are connected, so it's going to fuck with other people. There are people in the world who are not black or brown who could do with a positive three-dimensional representation of us. It helps them, it evolves them as it helps and evolves us. But beyond that, the saddest thing about it is they had a hell of a fucking product, man. They had a hell of a fucking product.
Yeah.
And they fucked it up.
They'll make a lot of money from it, but they won't make any dollars from us.
It won't.
You and me. It's not God of War.
It's 2 thumbs motherfucking down for this one that came out, the 2018 one, and 2 thumbs motherfucking down for the next game and the next game and the next game and the next game. Makes me wonder about how long they'll be able to ride on, coast on nostalgia.
Right.
I know for us it's over, but I wonder how long they'll be able to coast on that. 2 thumbs motherfucking down. 4 thumbs motherfucking down. On the one, not 4, 4, F-O apostrophe, thumbs down on this fucking game and any other games that come out, as long as they don't. Who knows? One of these days, maybe there'll be somebody who is smart enough and aware enough to get it back where it needs to be. I don't know that it'll happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
If you like what you saw or what you're watching right now, like and subscribe.
If you like and love what you heard, get on it. And also check us out on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify. And we'll be doing, we're going to be creating an Instagram at some point in the future. So you can look for us there. Look for these sexy, sultry, sensual, informative, brilliant voices.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You guys be easy. As always, brother, it's a pleasure.
Likewise, brother.
As always.